Hello, my name is Kina Crow. I'm a sculptor, a mixed media artist, and an F-bomber. My work is about the journey of being human, about contemplating our place in reality, and growing some balls without having to grow up. I love donuts, dogs, true crime, and anything that sparkles. Come on into my crazy little world. Hi, welcome to my studio. Come take a look around and let me show you what I've been up to. So first I want to show you my great big head. This is a piece that I have been wanting to make for a really long time, and lately I've been trying to occupy my mind with funny things. So this is called The Funny Little Things That Cross My Mind, and this board at the top is eventually going to get painted to look like a road, and there'll be 3 little clowns walking across it. And I think I'm going to even build this guy his own pedestal with the title carved in front of it. And I actually even made a little time lapse so you can see how he was constructed. I only wish I could actually work this fast. This guy took about 30 full hours to build, but with movie magic, he's going to emerge in less than a minute. I have my studio assistant extrude about 75 pounds of clay, and then I start coiling it up, and I'm trying to compress the clay as I go so that it can become kind of a solid piece of clay where the joints are, so that it's extra strong when it fires and won't crack. And it's likely that it's going to take both my husband and my son together to lift it into the kiln. This thing got so big as it progressed, I'm pretty sure it's going to take up every bit of space in the kiln. But I'm hoping it shrinks just a little bit as it dries, and it will for sure shrink like a little bit more when it's fired. But it's going to dry for at least 6 weeks, and he'll probably have to stay on this corner for, I don't know, at least a week or two before I can even dare move him. And then, so I'm going to put the last little bits of it on. And it's nearly complete. Here it is. Voila. So now we're going to take a look at my new ship. And let me try to get back far enough so that you can see the whole thing. It's pretty tall, especially on this table. I made a ship last winter, and it was so much fun, and I was really wanting to do another, but I wanted it to be a lot bigger. And so I took an existing wood boat shape and added to build it up a little bit more, covered it with plaster cloth actually, and it's also going to get covered in paper mache and then a final coat of epoxy resin to make it extra hard. And I came up with this idea from this silly, weird little short story that I wrote when I was pondering the nature of reality one morning. And then I kind of went off on this tangent and decided to make these clay beads with the individual words to the story on them. And the story starts at the hand, and the beads are going to be strung together with wire and are going to live in the boat. And I've only got about another 500 more words to go, really crossing my fingers that they all fit. And in this story, this little girl has a bird that actually flies the ship. It's what carries the ship. And so I made a paper mache bird and covered it in all of these feathers that were made out of 2 pieces of starched vellum with paper wrap wire in them, so that it could be really, really lightweight and perch at the very top of the mast. So it weighs almost nothing. And in this story also, she makes a boat out of happiness. So I'm going to have to figure out what happiness looks like and make the sails out of happy and paint a bunch of happy on the boat. I don't know what that's going to look like. This little figure is actually not the figure that is going to go in the boat. It's actually one of the 2 remaining figures that I still have left over from my book, and it's been promised to someone. But I really wanted to see what the boat looked like with a figure in it, and so I stuck her in there. But I'm not even sure if the figure's going to be human or not. I've been recently thinking about maybe it's an animal, and I had heard about a magical fox creature from Japanese folklore. So that might happen. I'll have to think about it. I'll still have to think about it. But because this story is so long and it's on this string, I also wanted to make a little book, and I'm going to make a little book, and it is going to fit inside this little daguerreotype box, which I just love these things. I just think these old treasures are super cool, and that'll go long. So you can read the story without having to take the thing out. And now we're going to move on to one of the actual painting that I've done. I used to paint a lot, and I think last year I just really was feeling compelled to paint some women. I love this piece, especially how her eyes turned out. Her name is Honey, and part of the idea behind this was to be able to create some paintings that I could then get printed onto rigid substrates and make frames in the studio that were sort of three-dimensional. And so this girl's frame, I don't have her frame yet, but her frame will be covered in all of this honeycomb, and it'll have resin in it that's going to look like dripping honey, and she'll have some 3D ceramic bees in her background that actually go like right onto the painting. And I'm planning to do that with the prints as well. I think they'll be really cool. But how, and actually, okay, we're moving over to this one, which is really how I kind of start when I do something like this, like a painting. I don't really sketch, and I'm kind of obsessed with Photoshop. And I also really wanted to be able to keep my faces kind of cohesive with my sculptural work. So how I make these is I take a photo of one of my sculptures, and then I also take a photograph of a person. This happens to be made from a photo of my son's little girl, and I blend the two together. And so when I paint, I need like a really, really good visual reference to work off of, and so this was a really fun, cool way, I thought, to do it. So I'm really excited to start this piece as soon as possible. And she'll also have this big wooden frame similar to my boxes. And her frame will have her title, which is "She filled her head with pretty wings and taught her mind to fly," which I love that. And the frame will actually have three-dimensional ceramic butterflies on it. So I'm excited. I think she's so pretty. I can't wait to make this one. So moving on, this is something really different for me and something that I was just playing around with. I sometimes like to take a break and just take random bits that are laying around and try to create something from them. And I thought this was really fun. I had made all of these little pieces here and there over the years, and I just kind of throw them in a drawer. And these are actually my eyes and a little dollhouse chair. And I'm kind of thinking of calling this thing Scattered Thoughts. It's kind of how I'm feeling right now. But I think it's cool. I'm kind of excited. And this poor little girl has been waiting for months. I made her back last winter, and she's waiting for her birds, but I just didn't have quite enough of them. I feel like she needs 7. 7's a lucky number. But the cool thing is that you can see how the different stages. So the first little bird here is just a bone-dry, raw piece of clay. And this next one has been carved into and has been fired twice. And then these other two guys up here are painted, and they're done and ready to go. Yeah, I need to make some more birds. So this is actually a piece that's actually finished. She's not even glued in. She's just kind of standing in there right now, but I had to show her because I absolutely love her. It says she could conquer nearly anything with a pair of big girl panties and a simple everyday tiara. And I just love how confident she came out. This was a custom piece that I actually did specifically in warm colors for the collector. And I was really happy how it turned out. This is another little girl who's sort of mid-stage, and she has all of her underpainting there. The piece has been carved and dried and sanded and primed and underpainted. It needs a glaze. And then she's actually been fired twice. She will get her little braid epoxied in. She'll get a touch-up on her dress. She'll be holding a flower, and then she will be sitting on a screw, which sounds uncomfortable, but it won't bother her at all. And then this is a really silly piece about a girl who wanted to follow her heart, but was pretty sure that the little bitch was just going to lead her past the donut shop again. So this is her heart. No, don't lead me to the donut shop. Okay, I'll take a dozen glazed. I know, that heart looks a little scary, but it won't when it's got a skirt and big blue eyes. It'll be great. You'll love it. Oh, okay, and I love this one. This is one of I don't have a lot of sculptures right now, but when I first found these, the print on her blouse is underglaze transfers. And when I first saw them, I was like, oh my God, I got these, and I made her blouse out of it. And I thought she has to be beautiful, and she needs a hat. And her little stick is going to be a branch, and there'll be a little bird sitting on it. All about the birds, the bees, the butterflies. And so this piece here, I'm going to have to climb up on a ladder so I can get high enough. I have to work with these things flat when they're at this stage. This was the only other figure, the very last figure that I have left that I'm going from my original book that I'm going to install in a piece. And here, let me give you a quick look. I love this one. And her original balloon was almost like a pillow. It was a piece of fabric that I had made. So, and this was the original little silver cup that carried her away, her little balloon basket. And I made her a new balloon out of paper mache, and I think I actually might try to put some texture on it. So this piece is kind of cool because it is a custom version of their own little corner of the world that is made to resemble the landscape of the collector. That's the landscape outside of their home, and this is just a little time lapse of what it looked like when it was getting painted. And so here's my little drawing station. There's more word pebbles for the boat, pedestals for sculptures. That's the Bird Girls panel. Tons of boxes waiting to be filled. And then this guy, got to climb up on the ladder. This is a big, huge piece that I've actually been working on for a while. And even though I normally don't really sketch at all, this one I actually sketched twice because the white head is going to be, I'm going to draw on it with either graphite or charcoal. And then some glaze will likely bring up some of that texture in the flowers. And then it's got those other wooden stacked flowers on it. And it's funny because even when I sketched this piece, I didn't have an idea of what I really wanted to put in the niche. And the title of the piece I always knew would be The Blossoming Mind. And when I laid this out today to take this video, I realized, it has to be a little girl with butterfly wings. And I really want to show you this one. This is for sure a work in progress. She doesn't even have her other arm on. And I still have to put her hair, but I needed to let her little cape dry up and stiffen a little bit. What her story is she is a little superhero girl who took off to do her superhero thing. But she forgot to buy new panties, and the elastic has fallen out of these and given way, and she's having to hold them up with her hand. Nobody wants their panties to fall off in midair. No one. And last, but certainly not least, because this is actually one of my favorite pieces, is this boat. And it is called Weathering the Storm. And of course, it is about quarantine. And right about that time, I was trolling Etsy one night and looking for basic boat shapes that I could build on. And I found this 1920s old pond boat, and it had these two little spaces already kind of cut into it. And I was like, oh my God, that's perfect. I've got to do a little girl and her dog. And they'll be on this platform. You can kind of see the waves. It's gonna get painted up a little bit more. And these guys are just freshly sculpted. But she's got a copy of my book. She's got cards. She's got COVID masks. She's got little holes in her hands because she's going to hold a cocktail in one and a half-eaten donut in the other. And when the little figures are holding an object, I have to put the thumb in after it's fired. And then I took a bunch of old linen, because I'm like an old linen hoarder, and made the sails. I think this is amazing. This is hand done. It's an old hanky, and I just love the attention to detail. And even though these were ratty and torn and stained, I couldn't bear to throw them away. And look, like they're going to have another life again. And I love that. I really, really love that. I got to make a few dog toys and a bone and a water dish. And thanks for coming. I appreciate it. Come back and see me sometime.